Open up the sky! Down here for hellfire!
One enemy remaining.
Fy fan. Give me 5.
Give me 5. Hey guys, AverageJonas here. I've received a lot of requests to make a Molly guide after making my first guide about shock darts, and a lot of the same rules apply to using Molly for plant and defuse denial as well. You need to know that the bomb takes 7 seconds to defuse, and you need to know that half defuse is 3.5 seconds, and you need to know if they have half defused or not. This is very important. But anyway, let's get right to it. I'll show all my spots on all the maps. If you start with Ascent on A, as a true OCD start, you can simply stand by this box and aim at that corner.
Molly!
And this one just bounces right on default. If you plant behind this server thing here, you can also just stand here. Just bounce it off anywhere on this wall. And you can just make adjustments. If it's planted further back, you can shoot more to the right. If it's planted further forward, you can shoot more to the left and further down. Even if it's planted out here, you can just aim low here and make it bounce out there. There is one important thing to know about Molly spots, and that is when you have your ultimate and when you don't. Because if you have your ultimate, what happens then is that you can change your whole lineup. For instance, if I have my ultimate and it's planted on the server spot where we just saw, I could stand here and I can aim for the left start of this flag thing sticking out. And I can just line my Molly up ready like that. And then I'll wait till I hear the defuse sound. And then I'll do this.
Open up the sky!
And I can wait a little bit and then shoot it. And what this does is that as soon as the ult finishes, your Molly deploys in about 2 seconds afterwards. And trying to make it land about 2 seconds after the ult is finished is pretty good, because they still need some time to move back in from ulting and start defusing again. And you kind of want them to be in the middle of the Molly when it lands. So don't shoot it straight away unless it's the Sky Molly. Another thing that's really good about having your ultimate is that you are guaranteed that they didn't get a half defuse off. If I stood in the same spot and I shot from here when I heard the defuse, that wouldn't be a great idea, because then they would definitely get a half defuse or even maybe get the whole defuse off. While spots like this one that is slightly quicker, you're able to hear the defuse sound and then shoot it and still be okay. They'll definitely get a half defuse off, but they will not manage to completely defuse it. On B, you also have a lot of options. When you don't have your ultimate, I really like to play this corner, because you can just peek out like this and just aim right above this tree. And then it's gonna bounce on the wall and hit right on default. You can also stand here and hit behind this box, which also is a common plant spot. And then you just need to open up your angle a bit more and just aim for this line in the middle of this kind of square thing.
Molly!
You can also hit it from here quite simply just by bouncing like this if you plant here, which also is a really good strat if you don't have your ult, because then you can play from spawn. And if you really want to, this is another spot where you have your ult. You can just place yourself on this corner here and just aim for this little fin that is sticking up there.
Molly!
You can also deny a planter, because they usually plant behind those boxes. So if you're playing defender, you can simply do this.
Molly!
It's super easy. Just aim for the back wall and it's almost gonna hit there 10 out of 10 times. The last spot I want to show you for Ascent is, this is definitely a spot you only have with your ultimate because you're so far away. So what you do is you aim for this little corner right here and you bounce it off. And again, you gotta work on the timing of when to do it. There's also one more Molly you can do from here, which is hitting the back corner. And all you have to do is take the little dot from the square on top of your Molly icon and just put it right there on this one like that.
Molly!
That one's gonna hit the back corner. So the cool thing about standing here is that even though you're this far back, the molly stays for so long. So for instance, what I could do, I could stand here and I wait for the fuse sound.
Open up the sky.
And I count to
My ult's
2,
ready.
2.
Molly.
Then I run. And then as soon as the ult finishes, I stop running. Okay, so the molly's ticking. It's still ticking. Still ticking. Still ticking. And see? I even have time to slow walk all the way up even though I was in my own spawn when shooting. That's how good this combo is. Continuing the alphabetical order, we have bind, of course. I'll show you a few quick ones first. So if it's planted on default, you can hide here. And then as soon as you hear the diffuse sound, you can just go out and just aim for this line.
Molly.
And that's gonna hit right on default. If you play from U-holes, you can also just aim for, like, you see there's a corner here. So you just want to aim for just the right of this corner, around here.
Molly.
And that's gonna hit near the truck. You see this one is hitting slightly to the left, but you know, as the way your character is facing kind of affects where you plant. You could technically stand on the edge here and plant and face this way, and this molly would work just fine. Another spot you can use, which is more a ultimate spot, is to stand behind this box here. You're hidden behind cover. You use your left HUD line and place it right on the tip of that palm thingy, like this.
Molly.
Gonna land right on default. And then you can also hit the truck from here by using the same left HUD line, but aiming for this dark spot at the bottom of this tree, like that.
Molly.
Ta-da! It's also quite simple to do anti-plant mollies here. So, okay, let's say they're smoking down the entire site and they're pushing in, right? So obviously, it's hard for you to see them, but you can still hear the directional sound when they plant. So if they're planting default, you just want to aim for the top of this wall, like this. And it's gonna bounce right back. And it doesn't even need to be that accurate because the molly is so large. And the same if they plant truck, you just want to aim for this carpet thing.
Molly.
And of course, if you're further back in the room, you need to aim higher up, but that's
Molly.
like just common sense at this point, I think. You also have a similar anti-plant for B, which is really nice. You just do the same here. You aim for the wall. And you want it to bounce just inside this box, because then it also denies planting outside and even in the middle part, as well as inside. You can also hit default plant from elbow. You just need to open your angle up a little bit and just
Molly.
bounce it off this wall, and it's gonna hit right on default. It is possible to bounce your molly off this wall and stand here, but it's not that consistent because it kind of lands on the edge of default plant. But you can definitely just like use it as an alternative if you know that it's gonna work in that specific scenario. So I'll just show it to you regardless, and then you'll have to figure out if this one is useful for you or not. So you aim for this little opening here where this one sticks out. And then just fire like this. And as you see, this one's gonna land here. And this time I hit it good. This was a good hit. Like, this is gonna hit entire default plant. But this is a pixel perfect shot. So you need to make sure, you need to practice that one a bit to make sure that it's gonna cover as much as possible of the default plant. You can also deny diffusing from inside hookah, and I think this is a good spot if you know that they're rotating from spawn, because a lot of times they will also rotate from here. But if they are spawn, then this is a super good place to stand. So what you want to do is just aim, like, you see there's like a little dot here on my graphic settings at least. What I do at least, I just aim for that and then I go down to this line. That way I can just pre-fire my molly like this.
Molly.
And I know it's gonna hit right on the default plant, and I don't need to show myself that much. It might be different from on your graphic settings, but you can always just count these planks. It should be the middle one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should be the middle one, aiming for the middle of it and just down on this line. And then you can also do the same by just hitting this one, but then it's the same thing, but you have to aim here. So you count the lines, 1, 2, 3. And then do the same.
Molly.
If you have your ultimate, you can do a really cool sky molly. This is one of my favorite ones. Again, you have to be a bit aware of when to use this. This is something I'm like saying for every spot, because you see all these people, they're like, oh, these mollies suck because, you know, there's so much problems lining them up and stuff. But it's all about knowing when to use them. You know, if you're forcing it, it's never gonna work. It's like trying to find a girlfriend, you know? You can't force it, you just have to wait for the right situation, and then it just happens, you know? So, what you want to do, just want to align yourself centered on top of this plant. And then you use the square above your molly icon. And you want to put the top right corner of it there. Like that. See? There. Like that. This is going to hit default. And then you can use the same top right corner and align with this corner there. And that's going to hit second default. So let's do that.
Molly.
That's one.
Molly.
And that's the other. Look how satisfying this is. Oh. You can also hit in the middle, because a lot of people, if you have full control of the site, they usually just plant very open, like this and out here. It's important to aim the spike outwards if you plant here, because if not, then they can actually stand on top of this one and defuse, and that kind of cancels your molly. But you can also do that by standing in the same spot, but this time you're going to use the dot of the square on top of your molly icon and put it right here on this one. So like that.
Molly.
There you go. So Haven has a quite open skybox, which opens up for a lot of nice sky mollies, and one of my favorite ones that I've gotten some cool kills on is by standing next to these sandbags and just putting your bottom left hotline in this corner. So what this one does, it bounces off the back wall, which is really cool because it's kind of hard for them to see this one coming. It kind of looks like it's gonna miss, and then it kind of creeps over this box and hits default plant. If you want to hit further to the left, because sometimes people plant further to the left on the A side, you can stand in the same spot. But this time you want to take this hotline and put it in that corner. So the bottom left right hotline, like that.
Molly.
And that one should land on more on the left side. So that way you kind of have a lineup for both sides of the default plant. If you manage somehow to get up on heaven, or if you're playing defenders, it's also a really simple molly to just do this. That's gonna deny diffuse or plant depending on what situation you're in. I did want to challenge myself and make a really flashy molly, but this one is too inconsistent to actually use in competitive play, but I'll show you regardless if you want to like look really stylish. You kind of get on top of this dot. This one is really pixel perfect, so it's kind of hard to hit it. And then you put the dot of your square above your molly icon right there. Like that.
Molly.
And this one is going to fly through the window on top of B. And then land right on default. It's so cool. So feel free to practice that one, guys. But don't blame me if it's not going to hit, because that one needs to be pixel perfect. If it's planted on B, you have a lot of nice options if you play from window, because usually the bomb is planted here, or in some cases here. Which means that even if you don't have your ultimate, it's really nice to just shoot a molly like this with a quick peek. And you don't even need a lineup for that. But if you do have your ultimate, you can get a lot further back and hit the same spots. You can get in this corner, and then you can align your bottom left hotline with this corner on the roof. Like that.
Molly.
And this one's gonna land right there. I forgot to mention this earlier, but when you do sky mollies, it's very important that you fire them as quickly as possible after your ult, because of the time it takes for the nade to land. It's super crucial, because if not, then they'll get a full diffuse off. They will definitely get a half diffuse off, but that's okay. Like, that's the same with my shock dart guy too. You should always expect them to be able to do a half diffuse. If you want to hit the other side of default, you get yourself into this corner. And then you see this little open square patch here. You just want to take the line of your mouse square like that.
Molly.
And just shoot like this. There you go. So when playing C, it's very normal that you plant for long. So you don't even need a lineup for this, especially if you don't have your ultimates. That's just like a very easy hit. You can also stand in this corner and just bounce it off like this by aiming at the top left corner of this square. This one needs to be slightly pixel perfect to make it work. And then it lands on default. But if you have your ultimate, you can stand here into the wall on top of this second purple plant. And then you want to use these crevices to make the lineup. So if you look at my smoke icon, I use the top square of my smoke icon there to hit default. And then if I want to hit further out on the left, I just shift to the other crevice with my right smoke icon. So Split was by far the most challenging map to find good spots on because there are so many things in the way. So in most cases you have to rely on sky mollies. Unless you're standing on a place like Heaven where you can just use simple bouncing techniques to like shoot it behind there and make it hit in the front like that. I found some spots from here, but I found out that it's better to stand back here because in case someone sneaks up from sewers, at least you're slightly more prepared and you're in a slightly better position to take care of that situation. So it's possible to hit both default plant and billboard and this corner from here. I will say that when I plant myself and I play Brimstone, I like to put it in the back corner because that makes it a lot harder for them to escape my ultimate or my molly. As you can see by this, if it's planted in this corner, like there's no way they can escape the ultimate. But anyway, what you want to do is you see this line, you want to get all the way into this line like that. And then you want to look at this corner. And if you see the line between my molly and my stim beacon, I put it right up like that here. This one is gonna hit behind the billboard. Then if you want to hit the back corner, I move the same line down and I put it in the middle of where the color kind of shifts to a darker gray. That's billboard, and that's corner. You see how big this area is that it covers. And then also if you want to hit the default plant, you can stand in the same position. But you're gonna align your HUD line with, I'll show you with an operator, makes it easier. You see there's a square here. So you want to align your left HUD line, but the top right corner of your left HUD line with that one. Like this. See? There. Like that. And this one should land right on default. There you go. I'll show you the coolest one I found on Split, but the problem with this one is that it's actually just outside the diffuse range. So you actually can only barely hear the diffuse sound from here, so it's a bit too risky. I'll show you just because this is a pretty cool lineup. Just get on this corner, and then you put the dot of the square of your molly icon right at this corner, like that.
Molly.
And then this one's gonna fly up there, bounce off, and then hit default. If the bomb is planted either in that corner or in front of this box, you can stand here, especially if you have your ultimate, and you can hit both of those spots pretty consistently by using once again the dot of the square above your molly icon. First you want to place it here in this corner right there. That's gonna hit the back right corner.
Molly.
And then you place the same dot in this little open space there
Molly.
to hit in front of the box. There you go. As I said, the first one isn't really that good for default, it's just very flashy. But a very easy one is just standing here, peeking out and aiming about the height of the green sign, like this. Or if you want another one that is like pretty safe and very nice to use with your ultimate, you can stand here and line up your bottom left HUD line in this little shadow area like that. See there? Like that.
Molly.
There you go. You also have several anti-plant possibilities if you're rotating or playing heaven. You can either, if it's planted default, you can just aim right next to this sign somewhere, like that. And that should bounce off and hit default quite easily. And if they plant somewhere near here, it's also pretty easy to just bounce it off this wall. Okay guys, that was it. I hope you enjoyed this little guide. I think it's very important to mention that you shouldn't do this all the time because people will learn where you're gonna stand. And it's important to know when it's actually a good situation to use it in, and if you have your ultimate or if you don't have your ultimate. Also, I do make new spots all the time and I experiment in custom games all the time, and I will keep my Twitch clips updated on my Discord channel. On my Discord channel, I have channels for each map, both for Mollies and for Sova Shock Darts. So if you want to join my Discord community and learn more spots like this and share them with others, or use looking for a group, feel free to join my Discord and the link will be in the description. Thank you for watching.